Our MC Subaru finds himself being jumped by 3 thugs in a dark alleyway shortly after being isekai'd to this new world. As he is being punched and kicked, he thinks of how ever since he arrived, he has not received the protagonist treatment that he was expecting. He has been yelled at when trying to buy food, kicked out of a bar by racist lizards, and even fell into the dirty river. Our MC then came to this alleyway to dry himself, but was approached by these 3 thugs who demanded him to cough up everything he has. But believing himself to be the protagonist, and there is no way he loses to thugs, he starts swinging, knocking down 2, but stops in his tracks when the 3rd pulls out 2 giant freaking knives. He is then kicked in the face and starts getting jumped and stomped on. As this happens, a small girl approaches the group, and it makes Subaru happy because he thinks that this is the part where the protagonist is saved by the cute girl who summoned him. To his disappointment, however, the girl says she is just trying to escape as she runs past him. The thugs continue their beating until another girl with beautiful long white hair shows up, and Subaru's eyes glow as he had never seen someone so beautiful. Unfortunately for him, the girl tells the thugs she has no connection to the weirdly dressed boy, and she is just chasing after someone that stole something important from her. Before she leaves our MC behind, however, she tells the thugs even if she has no connection to the boy, she can't overlook their actions and knocks them away with her ice magic. But still, the thugs still think they can take her. That is, until she brings out her powerful cat familiar, and it causes them to run away. As Subaru passes out, he thinks of how the white-haired girl is still so freaking cute even while angry, and upon waking up, he finds that she healed all of his injuries, and when he tries to thank her, she turns tsundere and says, "It's not like I healed you because I cared about you or anything, okay? I healed you because you'll give me information on how to find the person who stole my jewel. It's not because I wanted you to live or anything." As she walks away, Subaru thinks of how nice she is, and chases after her wanting to help with her search for the jewel. The girl refuses his help initially, but gives in when Subaru says he is not doing it for her. He is doing it because he promised himself to do one good deed a day, which is of course a lie, but the innocent girl falls for it. They look all over town, asking around, but still, they are unable to find the little girl that stole the jewel. And while taking a break, the girl's spiritual familiar, Puck, says that they have yet to introduce themselves to one another. Our MC then strikes a very sus pose as he introduces himself as Subaru Natsuki, and the girl hesitates before introducing herself as Satella, but is surprised when Subaru tells her it's a very beautiful name. But she uses reverse Riz as she tells Subaru that he looks well built, his hands are not rough like a peasant's, and he must come from a very well-off family. Instead of telling her he is broke as a joke, Subaru proposes they get back to searching for the jewel thief. And while doing so, they come across a little girl who looks lost. Subaru tries to tell Satella that they don't have time to help the lost girl, as the more time they waste, the lower their chances of finding the thief, but Satella tells him she cannot ignore somebody who's in need, and if he does not want to help, he can leave. When Satella approaches the lost girl, however, she starts to cry. But Subaru comes to the rescue, performing a magic trick, calming her down, and they hold the little girl's hand as they walk around looking for her mom. Subaru thinks they look like a married family like this, but Satella tells him if anything, he looks like he is old enough to be both their father.
Emotional damage!
They eventually reunite the girl with her mother and take another break after searching for the thief, and Satella starts asking Subaru why he keeps helping her. And our boy turns on the Riz as he responds that it's because she is so freaking cute. Thinking Subaru will think otherwise after she reveals to him that she is half-elf, she is surprised when he doubles down, saying her being half-elf must be why she is so beautiful. The Riz causes Satella to blush and turn around because she does not want him to see her red face, and Puck punches Subaru for making his master's heart tingle.
Yeah, boy.
Our MC then proposes that they retrace their tracks from the very beginning, as that will give them a better chance at finding the jewel thief, and come across Mr. Merchant, who tells them to kick rocks as they are broke. Before they leave, however, the little girl and her mother shows up, and the mother tells her husband that Subaru and Satella are the ones who helped found their daughter when she got lost earlier. The little girl gives Satella a flower, and Mr. Merchant apologizes to them as well as giving them info on where to find the thief, Felt, leading the couple to a very shady and dangerous town. Shortly after arriving in the town, however, Puck tells them that he has run out of mana and will need to rest until tomorrow morning to regain his energy. But before he leaves, he tells Satella to forcefully summon him in case of an emergency. And for now, he will leave her in the boy's hand. With the help of some lesser spirits, Satella is able to track down the place Felt is housed in, and Subaru tells her to stay behind while he checks it out because nothing will happen to him because he is the protagonist. But Subaru has forgotten that this world does not care about his so-called protagonist status as he finds a massive man that has been stabbed to death in the house. He wonders what is going on here, but only hears a seductive female voice behind him before he himself is stabbed. This cannot be happening, he thinks, as he starts to bleed from his torso and mouth. And to make things worse, Satella walks in the house because she heard noises. She calls out to him asking if he is okay, but before Subaru can yell for her to run, she too is sliced up and is instantly killed. With pain in his eyes and blood running from his mouth, our MC reaches for his crush's hand, and as he promised he will save her, he blinks and suddenly finds himself in front of Mr. Merchant offering him an apple. The confused Subaru is stuck in confusion as he thinks WTF just happened. It was just nighttime, how is there daylight? His first thought was to go back to the Felt's house to look for Satella as he thinks she is in danger. On the way there, however, he comes across the two thugs once again. He says they must be back for revenge, but it seems like the thugs does not know what the weirdly dressed boy is talking about. And as they ask our MC to cough up everything he has, he tells them he does not have time for this shit and uppercuts Mr. Knife Guy, smashes Mr. Small Guy with a kick and rings Mr. Big Guy's bottom bells. When Subaru finally gets to Felt's house, however, he cannot believe his eyes as the massive man he previously saw stabbed to death is the one that greets him at the door. They sit together and Subaru asks the old man a question. "Hey Pops, have you died recently?" The question shocks the old man and he starts dying laughing, but Subaru follows up with, "Have you seen a girl with white hair then?" Pops says no, and our MC starts to think that his encounter with Satella and Puck may have been just a dream. Nonetheless, he made a promise to help find the jewel, and Pops tells him he can trade for it when Felt arrives later tonight. As Subaru waits outside the house, he sees how poor this town is compared to the big city, and thinks about how in every world there is always the rich and the poor. In that moment, however, Felt arrives. Subaru asks her if she remembers running past him while he was getting stomped on in the dark alleyway, but the girl says she does not know what he is talking about. They go inside, and Felt presents the insignia with a jewel at its center. She tells Subaru she has been chased all day for this insignia, and she hopes he can pay her handsomely for her troubles. But she becomes disappointed when our MC tells her that in this Joe Biden economy, everyone is broke. "Worry not," he says. "I don't have any money, but I can trade you this device called a cell phone. With this, you can capture moments in time and store them." As Felt and Pops wonders what he means, Subaru snaps their pictures and shows it to them. Pops advises Felt that he has no doubt that this cell phone thing fetches a higher price than the insignia, and right before sealing the deal, Felt takes the insignia and tells Subaru that there is another party that wants this particular item, and he will have to negotiate with them for it. As Subaru asks who the other party might be, a knock is heard at the door and Felt goes to open it while Pops picks up his giant club as a precaution. Felt comes back with a woman dressed in black and purple, and Subaru immediately gets chills upon laying eyes on her. The woman introduces herself as Elsa and asks Felt who the boy is. Felt tells her that the boy is her rival for the item and his name is Subaru. Subaru then brings out the cell phone as his offer, and Elsa offers up 20 holy coins, shocking Felt and Pops. Nonetheless, Pops advises Felt that the cell phone is probably worth 40 holy coins, and he asks Elsa to leave as Subaru has won the insignia. After Elsa admits defeat, the air in the house tenses as she asks Subaru what he plans to do with the item, and our clueless MC tells her he plans to return it back to its owner, prompting Felt to save him from Elsa's attack. Pops then jumps into action and starts attacking Elsa, but Elsa is nimble and is able to dodge every swing of Pop's club. Pops then winds up going for the killing blow, but Elsa is quicker and is able to cut his freaking arm off. Knowing he's going to die, Pops tries to at least take Elsa with him, only for her to stab him in the heart with a broken glass. Felt becomes angry, and she apologizes to Subaru for getting him caught up in this mess as she dashes forward to avenge her father figure. And even though Felt moved faster than sound, Elsa was easily able to dodge her attack and cut her down with one strike. As Subaru watches in horror, Elsa says, "The little girl and the old man have fallen, and yet you haven't even moved a muscle." And as our MC starts getting up, she says, "Maybe if you did that earlier, things would have went differently for the two of them." But our boy Subaru says, "F*** it," and charges at Elsa. She blocks his punch and kicks him in the liver. She can tell he is a novice and cannot use any magic, but Subaru does not care and tells her pride is all he needs as he squares up. Elsa is the one that dashes forward this time, only to find her blade slicing nothing but air as Subaru stepped back and delivers a heavy kick to her body. For some reason, she starts to moan, saying the kick felt good. But before Subaru could celebrate finally getting a hit in, he finds that Elsa did not actually miss her earlier attack. She sliced him open. Our MC then collapses and Elsa lifts his jacket up, saying how beautiful his guts look. She tells him he is going to die. And when Subaru hears those words, tears start to run down his eyes as memories of his time with Satella runs through his mind. "I'm going to die," he says. It hurts, dying really hurts." And for the second time, our boy Subaru has died. And when he opens his eyes, he once again finds himself in front of Mr. Merchant and instantly collapses. Subaru is then woken up by Mr. Merchant, who offers him the apples for free, but when he sees Satella passing by, he runs after her. He screams her name and apologizes for failing her and for letting her die. As he does so, however, everyone around is looking at him in shock, as if he is a madman, and to make things worse for our MC, Satella turns and angrily tells him, "I don't even know who you are. How dare you call me by the name of the Witch of Envy?" The name of the witch is taboo, and very few people even dare to say her name. As Subaru stands there in shock, Satella walks away, but as she does, Felt rushes in and steals the insignia, causing Satella to accuse our MC of stalling her so his partner can steal her precious item. Subaru chases after them but quickly becomes tired, and that is when Mr. Knife Guy and his crew show up wanting him to cough up everything he has. He tells them they are persistent, but once again they don't know what the weirdly dressed boy is talking about. Subaru chooses not to entertain the three weirdos, tries to walk past them. As he does, however, he finds that he was stabbed by Mr. Knife Guy. He can't believe this is happening. He is dying again before he even accomplishes anything. As the trio panic and run away, Subaru dies and wakes up in front of Mr. Merchant for the third time today. But this time he doesn't walk away or collapse. He asks the merchant, "How many times have you met me so far?" But Mr. Merchant looks at our MC like he has 3 heads as he answers, "This is the first time they have ever met." Subaru then calmly checks his belongings and body for stab wounds, and after concluding he is not missing anything in addition to no sign of him ever been killed by Elsa or Mr. Knife Guy, he realizes that he has the power to basically respawn at a certain point after death, and names the power Return by Death. With this realization, he tells himself that at this point, he hasn't been saved by Satella yet, and therefore does not owe her any favors. Our useless MC then starts to plan on using his knowledge from his modern world to make himself rich in this one, but when he sees a little girl being held by her parents just like he and Satella held that lost little girl, he snaps out of it. What was he thinking, giving up on the cutest girl he ever met? Because Subaru knows that if Satella goes to Felt's house tonight, she will be killed by Elsa. He makes a plan to meet up with Felt and buy the insignia before Elsa shows up. But once again, he comes across Mr. Knife and his crew. This time, however, he chooses to not play the hero and simply screams for the guards. Mr. Knife Guy's crew panics at first, but calms down once no one shows up. As they prepare to attack, however, Reinhard, one of the knights of the kingdom, appears by Subaru's side, scaring them away. Subaru thanks Reinhard for his help, and Reinhard tells him he made a smart decision by calling for help rather than risking his life. The knight then asks Subaru if he needs help with anything else, and Subaru starts to ask him to accompany him to Felt's house, but stops in his tracks upon remembering that Elsa could potentially kill Reinhard as well. Instead, he starts to walk away and tells Reinhard that if he sees a beautiful white-haired girl around, tell her not to come to the slum town and he will bring her the precious item that was taken from her. Reinhard tells him okay, and when Subaru gets to the town, he has no choice but to ask for directions, as he cannot use magic to ask the lesser spirits like Satella can. While making his way through the town, however, he bumps into someone, but upon looking up, our MC is shocked that he ran into none other than Elsa herself. Elsa licks her lips and says, "I can smell fear, you know. You are afraid of me, aren't you? And angry at me? Why?" Subaru tries to deny it, saying he just forgot to shower, but Elsa says, "I am curious, but I have somewhere to be, nonetheless. I have a feeling we will meet again very soon." Subaru panics and runs to Felt's personal shed, where she comes up behind him while he is looking for her. She thinks he is a thief and immediately attacks him, but our MC is able to dodge her attacks by the skin of his teeth, and she doesn't stop until he tells her he came to trade with her. Felt calms down, and Subaru shows her the cell phone, claiming it is worth more than 20 holy coins. But Felt is not one to believe a stranger she just met, and so Subaru rushes her to go meet with Pops to have him appraise it instead. On the way there, Felt explains to Subaru that she is not like the bums he sees in the town, and has no plan on living the rest of her life in these slums. Seeing that Felt is a hard-working little girl who cares deeply for her father figure, Subaru starts patting her on the head, to which the annoyed Felt responds by biting him. Pops once again appraised the cell phone to be worth more than 20 holy coins, and Subaru becomes excited because if he gets the insignia now, he will leave before Elsa arrives, and everyone won't be killed by her. But things starts to go wrong when Felt begins to question him, asking why he is in such a hurry, and she finds it suspicious that he has been rushing her ever since they met. But our MC panics, saying he knows that her other client won't have more than 20 holy coins, which really made the situation worse. As Felt asks him, how does he know that? At that moment, however, a knock is heard at the door and Subaru's heart sinks as he knows death is coming. He tries to warn Felt that they will be killed if she opens the door, but it's too late as the door creaks open and none other than Satella shows up. She tells the boy he is being a big meanie by calling her a killer, even though he does not know her, but proceeds to summon her ice magic, demanding Felt to give back what she stole as it is very important to her. As Subaru wonders how baby girl got here so early, he sees Elsa rise in the shadows and quickly yells for Puck to shield his crush. Puck thanks Subaru for his quickness, and Elsa is as crazy as ever, as she says she has never cut a spirit like Puck open before, and she wonders how beautiful his guts is. Felt asks her why she is attacking them, and Elsa responds that now that the owner of the insignia is here, we can no longer negotiate, and as a result, I will kill all of you and take the insignia. But Puck was not having it as he starts his attack on the crazy bitch. He fires multiple ice attacks, and Elsa, nimble as ever, continues to dodge every single one. But eventually, Puck is able to land one on her foot to restrict her movement, and Satella, who had been preparing a powerful spell, fires it. But unfortunately, Elsa was able to jump out of its way at the last second. The situation gets even worse as it is now 5 p.m. and that means Puck needs to go to sleep to replenish his energy, leaving Satella to face the assassin alone. As he reminds her to summon him if it gets too dangerous, Elsa attacks. She runs circles around Satella trying to penetrate her defenses, but time and time again her knife is blocked by either an ice shield or the ice shard. Eventually, however, the crazy assassin is able to get through, knocking down the ice user. In that moment, Pop steps in, clashing with the deadly assassin. They go back and forth until Elsa gets the upper hand by landing on Pop's club. Felt tries to block her incoming attack, but it was too late as Pops is cut down. The assassin then slowly walks toward Felt and Subaru, and as our MC thinks he might need to use his return by death to get another attempt at this, he remembers how painful it is to be stabbed and cut, how painful it is to die. And so he says F it and saves Felt right before she is cut down by Elsa. He then tells the little girl he will give her an opportunity to escape, while he distracts the assassin. And as Elsa is dodging ice shards from Satella, she finds herself being attacked by the weirdly dressed boy wielding a giant freaking club. As Felt uses the opportunity to run, Elsa tries to kill her by throwing a knife at her, only for the knife to be blocked by our MC. As our couple find themselves cornered by the deadly assassin, Subaru tells Satella if she has any strong hidden powers, like say, having a nine-tails fox sealed inside of her, now would be a good time to release it. Satella tells him she actually has a hidden power, but if she uses it, both he and Elsa will die and she will be the only one left alive in the whole town. Subaru says it isn't worth it as he would no longer gets to see her beautiful face, and faces Elsa saying, "Come at me, you crazy bitch." And of course Elsa, who low-key likes being treated that way, listens to Daddy. They clash and our MC starts getting cut up. He tries to use the same kick that worked on the assassin in his previous life, only for the kick to be blocked and grabbed. And as Elsa goes to cut off our boy's leg, she is stopped when a voice booms and says, "That's enough!" as freaking Reinhard comes through the ceiling. We are then shown that when Felt escaped earlier, she ran throughout the town yelling for help, only for residents to close their doors and windows on her. Fortunately, however, she came across Reinhard, who offered his hand and his help to her. The knight faces the assassin, who says she knows who he is, and Reinhard responds that based on her appearance and blade, he also knows that she is Elsa, the Bowel Hunter. Before the battle begins, Reinhard asks Subaru to stand near Satella, who is healing Pops because he is still breathing, and Elsa attacks. Her attack is met by a heavy kick to her torso and it blows her away. She then asks the knight if he won't use his giant sword on her, but he responds, "I only use this sword when faced with a powerful opponent, but this little random sword I found on the ground should suffice."
Emotional damage.
The insulting remark causes the assassin to crash out as she attacks him from multiple angles. She strikes and strikes, but each time her attacks are blocked. Satella tells Subaru that the knight is not even trying right now, because if he was, she would not be able to heal Pops, as Reinhard would have pulled all the mana in the surrounding area into himself. And when she finishes using the mana to heal Pops, she wants Subaru to give Reinhard the signal to finish the assassin. When Pop's wound is closed, Subaru yells for Reinhard to do his thing, and the Master Swordsman glows blue as he pulls all the surrounding mana into his sword for a final clash with the Bowel Hunter. The clash between the two explodes, taking half of the building with it, and only Reinhard was left standing. Subaru was impressed as he thinks that Elsa was probably disintegrated because there is no trace of the crazy bitch remaining. And as he thanks Reinhard for his help, he catches his crush, who was about to pass out from exhaustion. She asks him why he is staring at her so much, and Subaru says he is just happy that he was able to finally save her, and this time he didn't have to die. The girl says he talks as if he has experienced death before, and as he answers he might be Jesus. Elsa pops out of the rubble with anger in her eyes as she heads straight for our MC's crush. Reinhard tries to help, but he knows he won't make it in time, and it was up to our MC to save his crush by pushing her out of harm's way and blocking the slash with the club. As Elsa becomes frustrated that this stupid, weirdly dressed boy got in her way again, she decides it is best to retreat for now, but promises to cut them down when they least expect it. The girl then tells our MC to not do such reckless things again, as she does not want him to get hurt. But Subaru strikes his Seuss pose and introduces himself to her as Subaru Natsuki. He proclaims that because he just saved her life, she now owes him a favor, and the girl, now nervous, asks the weirdly dressed boy what he wants. Our MC Subaru turns on the Riz as he asks the girl for her name, and the awkward broke boy Riz works on the beautiful girl as she smiles and laughs. She tells the broke boy that her name is Amelia and thanks him for saving her. But at this point, our protagonist forgot that this world is not kind to him and is reminded of that fact when Reinhard notices that the club he used to block Elsa's last attack is cut in half. Subaru looks down and says, "Damn it, I should have known." He collapses as his stomach starts to cut open and thinks of how his crush is cute even when she is panicking as he passes out. In the aftermath, Amelia has healed him, and Reinhard asks her what her relationship with Subaru is, as he had been looking for her the entire day. Amelia tells him the boy acted as if he knew her already, even though it was her first time ever meeting him, but still he no doubt saved her life, and she will take him home with her so he can finish his recovery. She then checks on Felt and Pops to see how they are doing, and Felt is surprised as she thinks Amelia would have scolded her for stealing her insignia. Amelia tells her, "I understand that you need money to take care of yourself and your grandpa here, but that insignia is really important to me." As Felt hands it over, however, Reinhard grabs her by the hand. Both Amelia and Felt is confused, but Reinhard says he was initially going to let Felt go free, but upon realizing who she really is, he has to take her with him. Felt tries to yell at the knight to let her go, but he simply puts her to sleep and gives Amelia the insignia before he leaves. Subaru wakes up alone in an unfamiliar room and notices that all of his injuries are gone. He walks out of the room, and as he roams the long hallways, he thinks about how this isekai world is going as far as to not even give him the wake-up to the beautiful girl with big melons next to you scene. After noticing he isn't getting anywhere as it is a looping hallway, he decides to walk into a random room where he comes across a small girl with twin tails, who immediately calls our MC a rude bastard for barging into her room. And of course, Subaru makes the situation worse by calling the little girl, whose name is Beatrice, an NPC who does not know how to even smile. After he finishes his insulting rant, Beatrice has had enough and asks Subaru if he has any last words. Subaru asks the little girl to please not hurt him, but it was too late as Beatrice unleashes her mana and shocks our boy, who calls her mommy before passing out. Subaru once again woke up in the unfamiliar room. This time, however, there are two cutie pies in the room with him dressed in a maid costume, as he thinks, yes, this isekai world is finally getting its shit together. Emilia shows up and the two girls snitch on Subaru, telling their master that the weirdly looking boy tried to violate them in his sick fantasies. As Emilia tells the girls to not tease Subaru too much, he thanks her for healing him, but she says it was the least she could do for him, putting his life in danger for her. Emilia then brings our MC to the yard where he starts stretching her out while Beatrice watches them from the window. Puck then comes out and thanks Subaru for protecting his master while he was asleep and asks Subaru if there is anything he wants in return. To Emilia's surprise, Subaru just asks to be able to pet the cat spirit whenever he wants. As he does, however, the two maid girls show up and inform everyone to come inside as the lord of the house has returned. When they arrive in the dining room, Beatrice calls Subaru a big dummy who does not know what he has gotten himself into, but Subaru responds by calling the girl an NPC, which irritates Beatrice because she has never heard of the word before. To Subaru's surprise, Beatrice's attitude does a 180 when she sees Puck. She smiles and her eyes light up as she asks the cat spirit to play with her, and he agrees. As this happens, however, a guy dressed in a clown costume shows up, and Subaru is impressed as Emilia is rich enough to even hire a clown to make jokes before they have dinner, but to his shock, it turns out the clown is none other than the lord of the house, Roswal L. Mathers. As they drink the soup, Subaru thinks of how good it is, and Roswal tells him that it was cooked by Rem, the blue-haired maid, and it is revealed that not only is Rem better at cooking than her twin sister Ram, she is also better at cleaning and doing the laundry. But Roswal did not call this meeting to discuss these matters. He informs Subaru that his crush Emilia is actually one of the candidates to become the ruler of the kingdom as its current king, and his family is missing. As Subaru is taking in what the freak he just heard, Roswal also tells him that the insignia that was recovered from Felt serves as proof of the candidate's legitimacy to fight to become ruler, and if it was lost or stolen, that candidate would be instantly disqualified. Subaru scolds Emilia for losing something so important, and as she tries to defend herself, Roswal says he should be awarded for saving Emilia's claim to the throne. And for the second time today, our MC is asked to choose whatever reward he wants. Now, if he was Takashi from High School of the Dead, we know what he would have chosen. But this MC likes to work for his melons, so he asks for Roswaal to hire him to work at the mansion. That being said, our MC does moan a little while Rem is taking his measurements. While being given a tour of the mansion, Subaru is able to continuously find the correct door that opens to Beatrice's room, even though her magic randomizes which door leads to it. And Puck calls it impressive that he is able to do this, especially when Beatrice is contracted to Roswaal, the strongest magic user in the kingdom, to guard this library as it has forbidden books that must not be seen by others. Beatrice then kicks him out for the 5th time today, and we cut to an exhausted Subaru after cleaning all over the mansion throughout the day. He then hears a knock at the door from Rem, who asks him if she can come in, and our boy thinks she is here to deliver herself as his late-night snack. To his disappointment, however, she only came to give him the butler outfit that she tailored for him. Throughout the next 5 days, Subaru showed his uselessness in cleaning and cooking. Really, as a butler, he sucked. But one night we find Ram sitting on Roswaal's lap, and he asks her of the potential that our MC is a spy from the other candidates. As they watch Subaru and Amelia below, she says the chances are slim to none, and she thinks he is just a weird-looking boy who fails at everything he tries. Subaru, however, is down there doing what he does best, trying to rizz up Amelia. He says the devilish twin sisters are working him to the bone, and being comforted in her chest and lap would make him feel better. Amelia calls him a silly willy goose as he pokes him on the head. As he lay on the ground while his crush sits next to him, they get to talking, and Amelia wants to know how come he always asks for the bare minimum. When he saved her life, he only wanted to know her name. When Puck offered him a reward, he only wanted to pet him. When even Roswaal offered him anything he wanted, he chose to become their butler. But Subaru says he only asked for what he really wants in the moment. When he asked for her name, it's because that was what was most important to him. If he asked for anything else, he knew he would be lying to himself. As he spoke, Amelia simply stared at our MC and eventually realizes all the cuts and bruises he sustained on his hands. She offered to heal them, but he refused. He says each cut is a lesson for him. It proves that even he can learn from his mistakes, and if he learns enough, he just might become good enough to be by her side eventually. His words made Amelia smile, and he blushes at just how beautiful she is as the flowers and wind are blowing through her hair. Our MC then uses the opportunity to ask his crush out on a date. Amelia is initially hesitant because she does not want to cause trouble for him, but he says he doesn't care, and so she agrees. Subaru is so happy that he just casually walks in Beatrice's room and calls her an NPC for the 3rd time today. She says she still does not understand how he can bypass her door randomizer spell, but it does not matter as she quickly becomes tired of his rants and pushes our boy out. Our excited MC goes to sleep, and when he wakes up the next morning, the first thing he does is strike a sus pose while Rem and Ram are in the room. He tries to hide his embarrassment and says they should knock first before walking into a man's room. To his confusion, however, the cute girls in the maid costumes start saying that their guest is acting really weird, even though this is his first day in the mansion. As Subaru asks them what they mean, he looks at his hand and finds that all his precious cuts and bruises are gone. Somehow, he was killed while he slept. But how was he killed? As Subaru looks at the 2 maid girls crazily, he asks them if they remember who he is, but the girls simply looks at him confused and thinks that their guest may be acting weird because he soiled himself just like Joe Biden at the G7 summit. But Subaru doesn't care for jokes right now as he runs out of the room crying. He thinks about how all the progress he made so far, the cuts and bruises he sustained, his deep conversation with Amelia, and her finally deciding to go on a date with him. All of that has been erased. Subaru then walks into a random room where he once again sees Beatrice, who tells him he better not have come to call her an NPC again. But this surprises Subaru, as Beatrice should not have no memory of him, given that he returned by death. As he leaves to confirm a suspicion, he thanks Beatrice, which surprises her as the boy has been teasing her ever since they met. Subaru waves to Amelia, who is desperately searching for him. After the maids told her he ran out of his room shortly after waking up, they initially thought he was running to the bathroom to drop a giant load, but became worried when he never came back. Amelia asks him if he is okay, and he says yes now that he can see her adorable face. Puck then comes out and once again thanks Subaru for protecting Amelia from Elsa before asking him what kind of award he wants, and Subaru once again requests to be able to pet the magical kitty whenever he wants. Because he wants to get to the bottom of how he died that night, he thinks he has to follow the exact same path he did before and chooses to be hired as a butler at the mansion once more. That was the plan, but when it came time for his opportunity for him to moan while Rem takes his measurement, Ram decided to show him around instead. This change in the timeline leads our boy to be approached by a butt-booty naked Roswell, who asks him if he can join him in the bath while swinging his jumping stick. Subaru says he does not roll that way, but Roswell says he is his property now and his property rolls any way he wants. They get to talking about the two cute maids, and Roswell asks Subaru if he is getting along with them. Subaru tells him he has been around Ram more, so he is a little closer to her, but does not understand why she acts so high and mighty, especially when her sister Rem does most of the work. His comment visibly irritated Roswell, as he thinks how this boy has some balls to be talking about his Ram like that. And speaking of Ram, she is waiting by the door as Subaru walks out of the bath, butt booty naked, and calls his jumping stick more of a hopping stick. She then tells Subaru that she will visit him in his room later tonight. As Subaru is thinking if Ram's is as pink as her hair, she appears right next to him. He tries to tell her it's his first time and wants it to be with Amelia, but Ram just tells him she does not know what he is talking about because she only came here to teach him how to read and write. As he is being taught these basic skills, Ram tells him that she is only teaching him all of this so he can start doing more of the housework, thereby reducing her and most importantly, her sister's workload. She says all of this, but it is Subaru who teaches himself while she slept for most of the night. It was now morning and Subaru is trying on his butler uniform that Rem prepared for him. He tells her it's perfect and wonders how come Rem and her sister only wear maid uniforms, and she responds, it is all she and Ram needs as it was provided to them by their master Roswell. But the undeterred thirsty boy tells her it's a waste, as someone as cute as her should not be limited to only one outfit, and it would make him really happy to see her in a beautiful dress. Rem, however, tells the boy she would gain nothing by making him happy and walks away. Rem says that, but stares at Subaru when he starts getting closer with Ram while they cook, and continues to do so as they trim the plants in the garden. As Beatrice watches them from the window, Ram tells Subaru that her sister keeps staring at him because he is so ugly, and proposes that he let her at least fix his hair so he can go from a 2 to a 3, because that is the highest he can go. Subaru asks Rem if she is okay with doing it, and should not be afraid to speak up for herself even if it is her older sister who is asking her for a favor. But Rem says she is willing to do it if it means it can make him just a little less ugly. Rem approaches Subaru later as he cleans the bath to apologize for being so mean to him. She realizes that even though they are co-workers, he is ultimately the one who saved Amelia's life, and she should not be treating him so coldly. But Subaru tells her she can make it up to him by letting him do to her what Roswell wanted to do to him the last time they were in the bath. Rem asks what he means by that, and Subaru says never mind and proposes that her trimming his hair will make them even. When they go out to buy groceries, Subaru finds himself surrounded by a bunch of snot-nosed kids, and one of them has a dog who freaking bites him. Rem asks him if he is okay, and he says yes as they wave goodbye to the kids. And as they walk home, she also tells him that she is surprised that he is so good with kids, and Subaru tells her that for some reason, kids usually quickly warm up to him, and he does not know whether it's because he is goofy or because he is goofy looking. Rem tells him it's probably the latter, and says that her sister is also good with kids because her aura is so reliable unlike hers. Subaru stares at Rem thinking she is a lot more awesome than she gives herself credit for, and promises to prove that to her. To his surprise, however, the comment made Rem smile, and he thinks she has the most adorable smile he has ever seen. With that said, Subaru's heart is racing as Amelia is currently alone with him in his room because Ram is unavailable to teach him tonight. But instead of folding like any other typical anime character would, our boy uses the opportunity to ask Amelia out on the date. Because she does not know what a date is, Subaru explains it's when a boy and a girl go out together, but Amelia misunderstood, believing that by his definition, him and Rem went on a date earlier today. Subaru clears up the misunderstanding by explaining they only went out on an errand, but he will take her to the town to meet the kids as well as the adorable doggy, and they will take pictures afterward. After hesitating a little bit because she does not want to cause trouble for him, Amelia finally agrees and says she is looking forward to it. Instead of going to sleep like he did last time at this point of the story, Subaru chooses to stay awake so he can avoid being killed in his sleep. The problem is, our boy suddenly finds his body has gotten cold as he starts vomiting. He does not know what is going on and walks out of the room looking for anyone to help him. He then hears the dragging of chains coming from somewhere around the house, and when he turns around, something strikes him and cuts his freaking arm off. He starts to scream in pain as tears run down his eyes with the sound of the chain getting closer, and before he can even see who the killer is, his head is crushed, killing him instantly. Subaru wakes up screaming while grabbing on the arm that was cut off and scares the two cute girls in the maid costume in the process. He apologizes for scaring them as he strikes his signature Seuss pose while introducing himself. He then immediately heads to Beatrice's room to process his death and thinks about the possibility that whoever killed him also went after everyone else in the household. As he is trying to figure it out, however, Beatrice has grown tired of him circling her and pushes Subaru so hard that he falls from the window she usually uses to stare at him. Amelia shows up and tells him that the brown stuff he is covered in is actually what comes from a cow's butt, and summons Puck to wash the dookie off of our boy Subaru. After being almost killed by Puck's washing machine, Subaru and the magical cat start play fighting, causing Amelia to start dying laughing, and the two immediately agree that she has the most beautiful smile they have ever seen. In that moment, the two maids arrive to inform them that the lord of the house has arrived, but instead of choosing to become a butler as his reward, he asks them if he can just be a freeloader. His reason for doing so is he knows that the attacker always comes on the fourth night, and he will need the free time to be able to figure out who it is before the fourth day arrives and he is killed. As he searches for clues around the house, he tries to have a conversation with Rem, but unlike in his last lives, she is super formal with him and takes her leave almost immediately, and the same thing happened with Ram later on when he asked her to have tea with him. Subaru then barges into Beatrice's room the next morning and asks her if there is any magical spells that is able to weaken someone to the point where it could kill them in their sleep, and the irritated girl tells him yes, and that the spell she used on him when they first met, Mana Drain, is one of them. After telling him there is also a possibility he may have been cursed, Subaru asks her if there is anyone else in the mansion that can use that spell, and Beatrice tells him that only she and Puck can use it. Even Roswal can't, as it is a rare ability. To Subaru's shock, she also tells him that she was the one who healed him when Amelia and Puck returned to the mansion after the battle with Elsa, but Subaru calls her a liar as he thinks that Amelia was the one who healed him, and in response, Beatrice reveals to him that Amelia is not yet strong enough to heal spilled guts, as she once again pushes Subaru out of the window. Ram comes to deliver tea to Subaru later on, but instead of being cold this time, she is actually willing to have a conversation with him, leading to Subaru telling her about a story from his homeland called The Red Ogre Who Cried. Once upon a time, there was a red and blue ogre who were really good friends. The red ogre, however, wanted to make friends with the people in the village, but the villagers were too scared of him. Seeing this, the blue ogre wanted to help his friend and thought of a plan to go cause some trouble in the village, so the red ogre could come stop him, causing the villagers to see the red ogre as a hero and a friend. The plan worked. But after some time, the red ogre noticed that his blue ogre friend hadn't visited him. Worried now, the red ogre went to the blue ogre's house, only to find the door closed and a letter stuck on it. In the letter, the blue ogre said he had to go away because he didn't want the villagers to think he was bad again, and wished the red ogre good luck and said goodbye. The happiness that the red ogre gained from becoming close with the villagers instantly dissipated as he starts crying and mourning the loss of his friend. Ram thinks that everyone in the story is dumb, as the blue ogre gained nothing from his sacrifice. The red ogre gained the villagers' trust, but lost his friend who was more important to him, and the villagers are stupid for judging someone based on appearance. Subaru asks her what the ogres should have done then, and she says that if the red ogre wanted to be friends with the villagers so bad, it should have broken off its horn to make itself more appealing. She then asks Subaru to choose between the two ogres that he would prefer to become friends with, but instead of choosing one, Subaru chooses both, and Ram scolds him, saying he is an indecisive person. She then asks him if he learned anything from his studies so far, and Subaru tells her that he learned of the stories of the dragon and the story of the witch. She explains to him that the dragon story is real, and there is an actual majestic dragon contracted to the royal family to protect the country as we speak. When Subaru asks her about the witch story, however, she refuses to talk about it and immediately takes her leave. But before she does, she tells Subaru to not tell Rem the ogre story, as she is sure that her little sister would not like it. It is now the fourth morning that Subaru has been at the mansion, and right now he is saying goodbye to everyone and thanking them for their hospitality. This is all part of his plan, however. He would fake leaving the mansion so he can set up camp in the forest to try to catch when the attacker would sneak into it. He waited for hours and it was approaching nighttime. In that moment, however, he heard the sound of chains and dodged the giant spiked metal at the last second before it crushes his head for the second time. He runs and tries to escape, but when he comes to a dead end, our boy takes his jacket off and gets ready to fight. The attacker then launches the spiked ball at him, and Subaru dodges while grabbing the chain to pull on it to reveal who the attacker is, and it is none other than Rem.
What?
He cannot believe his freaking eyes as the killer cute maid is standing before him, and she says she was hoping to finish him off before anyone noticed. Subaru wants to know why she is doing this, and she tells him that the rule of the maids is if anyone seems suspicious, kill them. He asks if her sister Ram knows about this, but Rem tells him that she intends on killing him before Ram finds out. As Rem approaches, he uses the flash on his phone to blind her and run away. He runs and runs, but air-slicing magic is suddenly thrown at him and cuts his freaking leg off. As he screams in pain, Rem heals him, saying she can't let him die too quick as she won't be able to interrogate him. As she whips him with the chain, she is asking, "Are you affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?" Subaru says, "No, Senator. My heart belongs to Amelia." "Did the Chinese Communist Party send you?" Subaru says, "No, Senator. My heart belongs to Amelia." "Are you a member of the Witch of Envy's cult who is associated with the Chinese Communist Party?" Subaru starts to say no, but realizes he does not even know anything about the Witch of Envy's cult. Rem tells him to stop playing dumb, especially when the smell of the witch is all over him. With pain and anger in her eyes, she says, "How dare you waltz in the mansion with the smell of the witch who caused me and my sister so much pain?" Rem then tells Subaru that all of the times Ram was close with him, all the conversations they had together, her sister faked it all. Subaru can't take it any longer and starts to cry. His cry quickly turned into anger as he screamed at Rem, saying, "How is it fair that you do not remember the time you promised to cut my hair? And what about the time when we went to the town together? When you asked me if I was okay after I was bitten by that damn dog? How is it? How is it even fair that only I still remember everything, when you all get to just fucking forget about me when I die?" But as he is about to tell Rem that he came to really like her and her sister, his throat is cut. When he sees the two cute girls in the maid costume upon waking up, Subaru screams, prompting Amelia to come in the room. She asks him if he is okay given that he is not his usual goofy self, and Subaru decides to tell her the truth about his power to return by death. But time stops as he tries to get the words out, and a dark purple hand slowly reaches his heart, attempting to crush it. The experience traumatizes him so much that he tells Amelia, his crush since the anime started, to leave him alone. Subaru no longer has the will to even leave the bedroom, causing the lord of the house to come greet him in bed. Nonetheless, it is now the 4th day, and Beatrice visits him as Amelia and Puck think his current state is because of something she did to him. He tries to ask her to leave, but she is a stubborn lady, and says this is revenge for all of the times he barged in her room to bother her. She then smells him, and says that the smell of the Witch of Envy is much stronger on him than before, but he does not understand. Why would he smell like the Witch of Envy? But Beatrice reveals to him that the members of her cult who receives powers from her usually do. As Beatrice starts to take her leave, Subaru stops her and asks her for a favor. She initially refuses, saying she does not owe him anything, but changes her mind when he threatens to snitch on her to Puck for draining the mana of the man who saved the magical cat's master. He asks Beatrice to protect him until the 5th day, as he knows he always dies on the 4th, and Beatrice's little fingers interlocks with his as she promises him she will do so. As he sleeps that night, Subaru is having nightmares of all the times he has been killed by the blue-haired maid, but the nightmares cease once a certain someone holds his hand. He wakes up in Beatrice's library, who had carried him there, and he asked if she was the one who held his hand last night, to which the little girl responds no. They read in silence for a while until Beatrice suddenly had to leave due to being summoned. Before leaving, she tells him he will be safe if he stays in the library, but our boy Subaru is also stubborn and opens the door. As the morning light shines, he starts laughing, saying how this whole time he could have avoided being killed simply by asking Beatrice to protect him. In that moment, however, Amelia shows up asking where he has been, but before he can say anything, she grabs him by the hand. As they walk, however, Ram's painful shriek can be heard all over the mansion, and when Subaru and Amelia get to her, they find her crying over Rem's dead body. He reaches to touch her face and Ram smacks his hand away, saying not to touch her little sister. And as Subaru tries to leave, Roswell tells him that she died of the curse mana drain. This confuses Subaru because he thought that when he died of it that first night it was Rem that cursed him, but he was wrong. Amelia then asks him if he knows anything about what could have happened, but Subaru hesitates as he knows that his heart will be crushed if he tells her about his power. This causes Ram to attack him, screaming for him to tell them about what could have killed her sister. As Subaru realizes that Ram was the one who cut his leg and throat while running away from Rem, the grieving sister launches another attack, and it is blocked by Beatrice, who is still contracted to protect him. This causes Roswell to also activate his magic to fight Beatrice, as he still suspects Subaru of having something to do with Rem's death, and instead of screaming at him, Ram begs Subaru to please tell her who killed her little sister so she can at least avenge her. Once again, our MC knows he can't tell them anything, as he too is confused at the situation because he originally thought Rem was the user of the curse, but his hesitation causes the grieving Ram to ready an attack only for Amelia to stand between her and Subaru. Amelia says she trusts Subaru did not kill Rem and turns around to also asks him to tell them anything he might know. But at this point, our MC is overwhelmed and runs out of the room as everyone launches their attack. He runs and keeps on running running until he gets to the forest and starts thinking, what kind of a sick isekai is this? He is the main character, and yet he is being killed over and over again. He has been cut to death, had his head crushed, killed by a curse in his sleep, and now he is running away from his crush instead of being able to help her. Subaru then decides that he will finally put an end to this nightmare by jumping off the cliff, but starts to cry when he realizes he is too weak to even end his own life. He spends all day at the cliff drowned in his failure until Beatrice finally finds him. She tells him feeling sorry for himself won't change anything, and the least she can do is help him escape. As Subaru grabs her hand, however, he realizes that it was actually two hands that were interlocked with his while he was having those nightmares, and the two hands were that of the two cute maid sisters who were comforting him. As he thinks of all the memories they had together, Subaru decides that he won't run away and will help save Rem in a way that only he is capable of. In that moment, however, a furious Ram approaches them and tells Beatrice that she can no longer protect Subaru as she is away from the library, which is her main source of power. Nonetheless, she is surprised when Subaru jokingly pulls on Beatrice's hair and is the one to approach her, and our MC, now back to his goofy self, screams at the top of his lungs that he loves both her and Rem, but Ram screams back saying, how can he say that when he let her sister die? He then tells her it's okay for her not to believe his words and will prove his love to her through his actions. To both Ram and Beatrice's shock, our MC runs toward the cliff and plunges himself to his death as he promises himself he will save the two cute maid girls in his next life. When Subaru wakes up, he finds Ram and Rem at his bedside, and as he smiles to find Rem is now alive, he asked if he can interlock fingers with theirs and confirms it was indeed them who comforted him when he was having those nightmares. Emilia walks in saying she is glad they are getting along, and Subaru immediately starts flirting with her. Later, he chooses to be a butler this time and starts working really hard cleaning up the mansion as a way to slowly start gaining Ram and Rem's trust. As he takes a break, he asks Puck of the kind of magic that Emilia uses, and Puck explains that Emilia is more of a spiritual arts user and reminds our MC that he can probably use magic as well. Excited at the thought of finally being able to unleash his unfair and overpowered isekai abilities, Subaru asks Puck to check which element was chosen for him by the isekai gods. Instead of one of the 4 elements, however, Puck reveals that our MC actually possesses the rare shadow element. As Subaru thinks the shadow element is some super op power that comes once in every 10,000 years that will maybe allow him to use shadow clone jutsu, Emilia reveals that shadow element is mostly used as a debuff. They are able to slow their opponent, block their vision, and really the most it can do is hinder the enemy for a short amount of time. Puck then tells him of Shamak, a shadow ability that blinds your opponent and gives a curious Subaru a first-hand taste of the ability. After seeing how effective Shamak can be, Subaru asks Puck to teach him how to use magic, and as they do, our MC's magic explodes, causing a massive amount of smoke to engulf the entire garden. After Puck explains that his magic blew up due to him never using it, Subaru finds he can no longer move as all the mana was drained from his body. Regardless, Subaru insists that he has to continue his chores for the day, and he can't waste a single second, and it prompts Emilia to give him a sensu bean to replenish his energy. He apologizes to Emilia because he thinks she wasted it on him, but Emilia tells him she would love it a lot more if she thanked her instead of apologizing when she does something for him. As he leaves her to do the chores, Emilia and Puck have a conversation about him as they both have noticed something is a bit off with him ever since he woke up. Their suspicion is proven true, however. As Subaru is going all out when it came to the cleaning and cooking, he runs everywhere to complete each task as quickly as possible, and even Rem, who notices he will burn himself out, tries to say something, only to be cut off by him as he tells her he needs to go complete another task. On the other hand, our MC does not see his actions as weird, and just thinks about how he needs to hurry up and gain the twin sisters' trust as fast as possible before the 4th day comes. After he finishes throwing up from running from chore to chore, Emilia waited by his door and tells him to come with her. He starts making excuses, saying he still has some work to get done, but the silver-haired girl just grabs his hand and drags him to his bedroom. She tells him to sit on the floor, and to our MC's shock, she grabs his head and places it on her lap. Subaru starts to ask her what he did to deserve such a special treatment, but Emilia just shushes him. She bends down slightly and whispers in his ear, "It's been tough, hasn't it?" Her words immediately causes Subaru to remember everything he had been through ever since he found himself in this world. All the times he was sliced open by Elsa, the pain he felt when Emilia was killed in front of him dying to the curse while he slept after finally asking her out on a date, the pain and betrayal he felt when he found out that Rem and Ram never actually trusted him, and the helplessness he felt in that room when he laid his eyes on Rem's cold, dead body. All of these memories flooded his mind as he cried like a baby on his crush's lap. As Emilia plays with the now sleeping Subaru's hair, Rem shows up and tells Emilia that she had been looking for him as he had been missing for a while. But Emilia tells her that Subaru is done working for the day. But as Rem starts to take her leave, Emilia smiles at her as she tells her, "Rem, Subaru is a good boy, you know," which is a hint that she knows that Rem could have been planning to kill him. Our MC wakes up and immediately goes to Beatrice to tell her about how he embarrassed himself by crying like a baby in front of his crush. Beatrice, however, is more concerned that Subaru has started calling her Bayako as a way to show how close the two have become. Instead of addressing her concerns, Subaru starts asking her questions about the mana-draining curse, to which she explains that every curse has a universal condition that must be met before they can activate. The target of the curse must come in direct physical contact with whoever is cursing them. As Subaru reflects, he knows that the only people he has touched were everyone at the mansion, and some of the kids and their puppy at the village, and because no one at the mansion would kill Rem with mana drain, he concludes that the curse caster must be in the village. Excited that he has finally gotten a lead, he grabs Biko and spins her in the air while telling her he loves her. A while later, Subaru meets with Emilia, who is blushing at the memory of him drooling on her lap. She asks him if he is back to his normal self, and to her relief, the boy says yes. And to show he has learned from his past mistake, our MC thanks her for her help instead of apologizing like last time, and it makes Emilia's heart flutter. As the two cute maids and the butler get ready for work that morning, the butler proposes that he and Rem should go buy seasoning at the village instead, because they have started to run out. And to his surprise, Rem also volunteers to come and says, this way, he will have two beautiful flowers by his side. When they get to the village, however, it was the twin sisters who was doing most of the shopping, while Subaru played with the members of the villagers. It was part of his plan to have every single one of them touch him so he can figure out which one is the caster of the curse. Eventually, the kids of the village bring him to meet the stray little puppy, leading to the puppy biting him once again. And when the trio finally get back home, they are met by Roswal, who tells them he is leaving to go take care of something. This is a weird turn of events to our MC, as Roswal has never left the mansion in any of his past lives, but he is in for a bigger surprise when Roswal starts to freaking fly away, after whispering in his ear that he is counting on him to protect Emilia. Subaru then immediately heads to Byako's room, as she told him that she can detect curses, and has the ability to destroy it if it is caught early enough. And sure enough, she does detect that our MC has been cursed, but says she has no obligation to save his life. But that was before Subaru tells her that Emilia would be sad if he died, thereby making Puck sad too. If Puck finds out she had a chance to avoid Emilia going into deep depression, and she chose not to do it, the magical cat would be angry at her. Because Byako loves Puck so much, she folds and starts looking for the spot of the curse on Subaru's body. To our MC's shock though, it turns out the little puppy was the one who cursed him, as black mist starts rising from the bite marks. He thanks Biko before running to the twin sisters to tell them of the situation. He reports that the puppy in the village is cursing all the villagers that it bites, and that they have to go save them. The twin sisters initially hesitate as Roswal ordered them to protect the mansion, but Ram cuts our boy a break and asks Rem to go with him. As they spoke, however, Emilia shows up wanting to know what is going on, only for Subaru to give her vague answers, as he does not want to worry her. And knowing he can't stop the stubborn boy, Emilia smiles and just reminds him to come back home to her safely. But when the duo get to the village, they come across one of the adults who tells them everyone is looking for the children, as most of them have gone missing. And because Subaru remembers they might be at the spot where they met the puppy, he runs there. But when they arrive, Rem points out that one of the village's barriers that usually block Mabeasts from entering the village has been broken. Because our MC has never heard of a Mabeast, Rem explains they are monsters with magical powers created by the Witch of Envy, who live all throughout the forest. And when Subaru spots little footsteps heading into the Mabeast-infested forest, he tells the guy to go inform the villagers of the situation as he begins to head inside of it. Subaru is stopped by Rem, who asks him why he is going so far for some kids, but he explains that he actually has come to care a lot for them, and he knows each one of their names as well as what their dreams are. Yet as he spoke, Rem notices his hands are shaking and realizes that he is actually scared. He is scared to death, but is still willing to head into a forest full of monsters that can tear him apart. And so she pulls out her spike chain, which immediately gives our MC PTSD, and tells him, "Let's go, I will protect you." They eventually find the kids on top of a hill, and Rem begins to heal them due to the mana drain curse already taken effect. As she does so, however, the orange-haired girl, Petra, tells Subaru that her friend with the blue braids is still missing in the forest, and she wants him to go rescue her. Rem stops our MC before he leaves and tells him it's likely the little girl is already gone, and she can't protect him if he leaves. But Subaru explains to her that she can come save him once the villagers arrive to pick up the kids. As she holds on to the tip of his jacket, Rem asks him how will she be able to find him, and what if she is not able to make it to him him in time. But to her shock, our MC reveals to her that he knows she can smell the scent of the Witch of Envy on him. He tells her he knows she will save him because he trusts her. And while interlocking their pinky fingers, Subaru promises the blue-haired maid that he will answer all her questions as he knows she is still suspicious of him. Our MC eventually finds the little girl passed out in an open space, but it turns out it was a trap set by a dog-like maw beast. He then wraps his jacket around his arm as the maw beast charges at him. It jumps and bites on the jacket-protected hand, and Subaru uses its momentum against it by impaling it on a nearby branch. It's not over as dozens of freaking dog-mad beasts reveal themselves and starts running at our boy. But before they can get a taste of his meat, the blue-haired maid arrives and demolishes it, because Rem knows they are severely outnumbered, and even she won't be able to take them out all by herself. Rem makes an opening for them to run to the village, as they will be protected by the barrier once inside of it. She is taking out the monsters as they run, but things take a devastating turn when their leader shows up and summons a rock avalanche, causing Rem to push Subaru out of its path as she takes the full brunt of the attack. The horde of maw beasts then surrounds the injured Rem and prepare themselves to maul her to death. To Subaru's shock, however, the blue-haired maid's body rises and a freaking magical horn ascends from her forehead as she starts laughing maniacally. Unleashed Rem then starts brutally destroying the maw beasts as Subaru watches in horror. But even then, when he realizes she is about to be ambushed from behind, he pushes her out of harm's way, and Rem cries his name as the dog starts aggressively biting him to death. Subaru wakes up to an unfamiliar room with Amelia sleeping next to him and thinks about how he is once again in her debt, believing she was the one who healed him. But Puck comes out and tells him that him being alive is actually thanks to Rem, who killed the remaining dog Maybeast and carried him all the way back to the village. After Puck reveals that himself and Biko also cured all of the kids of their curses, Subaru asks him if Amelia had been with him the whole night as he slept, and the magical cat answered yes. As our MC is leaving his room, he comes across Ram, who immediately forces a hot potato into his mouth and thanks him for protecting the kids, as Roswell would have been held responsible if something happened to them. Subaru asks what she means, and Ram explains that the village is under Roswell's jurisdiction and is responsible for all that takes place within it. Subaru then checks on every single kid in the village to double make sure they are okay and come across Biko in the process. He thanks her for her help, but she says that she only did it because Puck asks her to. Byakuo then brings Subaru to a secluded place and tells the boy that he is going to die in less than 12 hours. To her shock, however, the boy barely seemed bothered by her words, as she thought he'd be screaming and crying at the thought of dying. Given that she had already removed the curse on Subaru prior to him returning to the village, Byakuo further explained that multiple curses were placed on him when he was being mauled by the dog Maybeasts after saving Rem. One bite is like untying one knot, it is simple. But when you sustain multiple knots in quick succession, that one knot turns into a big ball of yarn, and it becomes almost impossible to untie, almost impossible to cure. After telling Subaru that the only way to save his life now is to kill the leader of the dog maw beast before it activates the spell, his mind immediately flashes to Rem. He asks Beiko where she is, and Beiko tells him she could not stop her, as Ram also appears asking where her little sister is. It is then that we are shown an unleashed Rem hunting every dogma beast in the forest looking for their leader. Ram tries to run to her sister, but is stopped by Subaru, who asks her if she even knows where Rem is, and Ram explains that she has the power to use clairvoyance to locate her sister. And when Subaru asks her if she also has an unleashed form as well, Ram reveals that she unfortunately does not, and so Subaru decides to come with her as her protection and is given a sword by one of the villagers to help in the fight, as well as some candy and a green shard given to him by the kids after they asked Ram to please bring Rem back, as they have come to really like the two of them. As Ram uses her clairvoyance to locate her little sister, they are suddenly attacked by some dogma beasts, and she immediately disposes of them as our boy Subaru almost pees his pants. They get to talking while making their way to the blue-haired maid, and Ram reveals that normally, demons like her are born with 2 horns that they can use to enhance their battling prowess. But when twins are born, they only come out with 1 horn each, and are usually disposed off after birth. Yet for some reason, her and Rem were allowed to live, but she lost her horn because of something she did, and has been relying on her little sister for protection ever since. Regardless, even if her little sister is stronger and is able to cook and clean better than she can, it does not change the fact that she is the older sister, and it is always the role of the older sibling to worry about and take care of the younger one. With that, Subaru decides to draw all the mob beasts to him, as he knows they are attracted to the Witch of Envy's scent, and does this by starting to tell Ram about his return by death. As the mysterious purple hand tries to crush his heart, the dog mob beasts start to approach, and he quickly explains that Rem will come soon as she is also hunting them and will rely on Ram to protect them until her little sister arrives. But Ram quickly runs out of mana, causing Subaru to have to carry and run with her. They eventually fall off a cliff, and Ram used the last of her remaining mana to cushion their fall, and Subaru is able to catch her right before she hits the ground. Unfortunately, she passes out due to the strain, leaving Subaru to deal with the Dogma Beast, who are starting to slowly corner them. In that moment, however, Rem arrives, and instead of helping out our boy like he'd hoped, she tries to take his freaking head off. As Subaru tries to make a run for it while carrying Ram, she explains that her little sister cannot fully control the power of the horn, and if he wants to stop her, he will need to ask Rem what did the sword say to the horn. As our MC is thinking of a way to do just that, the leader of the pack uses earth magic to assist its comrades, and they start swarming Rem, but she is able to fight back and starts to pummel them with her bare hands. Subaru then tells Ram she won't like the idea he came up with and makes her swear on Roswal's name that she won't be mad at him. She says she promises, and this man freaking launches her right at the raging Rem so he can use the distraction to hit her horn with his sword. But when it came down to it, our MC pussied out due to Rem being so cute, and the leader of the pack uses its earth magic to launch him in the air. As he starts coming down, however, he realizes this will be the only chance he will have to bring Rem back, and swing his sword as hard as he can while screaming, "What did the sword say to the..." Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to not miss out on part 2.